I don't know a ton about you. I just know I know you from your post a little bit. So why don't we just start with, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your journey with food?
I don't know. I went through this like really rough time where I was really depressed and I had a lot of anxiety. I felt really lost in my life. I didn't feel like I was accomplishing enough for my age. I didn't feel like I was like doing anything with myself really. I just felt kind of like stuck, and I got into this hole, like a hole really, of just
Mm.
like I got really depressed and really sad and down on myself, and it had gone on for quite a while. I tried to like talk to people about it and stuff, but I wouldn't say I'm not introverted. I'm pretty extroverted, but I don't really like telling people my problems. I don't. It doesn't make me feel comfortable, and maybe I like never really gave it a shot, but it wasn't for me. And then I was just at work one day and I just had like a mental breakdown, and I went up to my boss and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And then later that day, like I talked to my parents and they were like, we got to put you somewhere. You got to go somewhere. You got to do something. I found this place that was in Costa Rica, that was like a wellness center, like a retreat for, people going like struggling and having a lot of like issues with their mental health and whatever. So I ended up going to Costa Rica for a month, um, thanks to my parents who wonderfully paid for it because there's no way I would have been able to do that. And it was really funny because the few days leading up to me actually going to Costa Rica, I had been on the phone and emailing I guess the man who runs it, the director. He kept saying to me over and over again that what did he say? He was like, "Oh, you're gonna eat vegetarian here." And for me in the beginning, I was like, "Oh," because I come from a very like heavy meat eating family. Like it was like breakfast, lunch, dinner. If it wasn't like eggs and bacon, it was like every single meal had animal products in it. Growing up my whole entire life, and this is back. So I'm 39 now. So this was 5 years ago. So I was 34. So 34 years of my life, I ate meat every day for every meal all the time. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be bullshit. I can't like I'm not gonna eat meat. What am I gonna do without meat? What are you talking about, crazy? So I ended up going and it was totally fine. I didn't miss it. It wasn't vegan, it was like vegetarian. And then so I was just like, you know what? It was so easy and I feel great. I feel really good. So I just continued it. And then at that point, I was like, let's take it a step further and go vegan. So I've been doing that for a long time. And I honestly, like, I don't know if there's a correlation. I think there is because it's the only thing that ever really helped me. Like, I felt like I slept better. I felt like I was like happier. My mood changed, my attitude changed. And once I had more energy, I felt I was more able to go out and do stuff. So I got more exercise, which obviously helped with, feeling better about everything. And everything just kind of came full circle into like, what the hell was in my food that I was eating before that made me feel so shitty? And like, what was going on that, with like clean food? And then I just took off from there, and I've never felt better, to be honest. Like, I was going through like a period of time where I was like drinking a lot because it was like self medicating. And now it's just like my food is my medicine. Like, really, it really is.
Mm. What
So
an incredible story.
I know.
Wow.
It's been great. It's been a great journey. I never, if you had told me 5 years ago that I would have been vegan, I would have been like, nope. What
Mhm,
are you talking about?
mhm.
So,
So, let's see, Costa Rica trip was a month, and so when you got back to the States then, that's when you decided, "I'll just take it, like, a bit further and test out the vegan thing," because you were feeling so good?
yeah, I'm actually in Canada. I'm in
Oh,
Toronto.
you're in Canada.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I just assumed you're in the US.
That's okay. I felt so great that I was like, it wasn't even that hard. I didn't really feel like it was like a big transition for me, which is surprising from all the meat that I'd been eating my whole entire life. So, like,
Mhm,
it wasn't that hard for me. And I was like, if I feel this great, why would I want to stop? Why would I
yeah.
want to stop? And the longer I did it, the better I felt over time.
Mhm,
Just
mhm.
everything changed. Everything changed. And then like it was like a snowball effect. Like once you start feeling better, you start making better decisions, better life choices. You're happier. So you invite a lot more people into your circle because they want to be around you. You're not,
Mhm.
this like grumpy person who's, miserable or whatever. And it just like opened a lot of doors. I got a better job. I got like a lot of different things happened for me after I started just like feeling better. And I
Mm.
really just owe it to like my diet completely changing. I do. I really do. Because I was working out 6 days a week. That wasn't helping. It was
Mm.
like I was doing all the right things with other parts of my life, and it was like the same. And that was like the one, I guess, common denominator that I feel made everything different.
Uh-huh. That's the one thing that really changed,
Yeah. Yeah,
um, before you, like, could feel a change
for
in
sure.
how
Yeah.
you lived or how you like, your mental health really improved after
Hmm.
that one
For
change.
sure. 100%.
Mhm. I mean, were you surprised by this? Because I mean, I've heard this happening to so many people, and there is a big correlation between what we eat and how we feel. Like, there
Hmm.
really is, and some of it has to do with, like, the microbiome and the gut, like, gut health and brain health are really,
Right.
there's a big correlation there. But to think that changing your diet would lead to like some serious um mental health really.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such like an easy thing. Do you think that people just like overcomplicate it? I mean, do you think that this is just something that's like so obvious that people just miss it?
That's actually exactly what I think. Well, for me personally, I never for once imagined that it like that would change anything. But I also
Yeah.
like I never looked at my diet as a source of anything that was wrong with me. It was not anything I ever thought about. So because I never thought about it, it wasn't even something that I was like researching or trying to figure out at the
Mm-mm.
time. And it wasn't until I was like, I feel a lot better. Then I was like, I started like researching and being like, oh, okay, this is actually a thing. This makes like a big difference in people's lives because I had no idea. For me, it was just
Yeah.
like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? I don't want to be on medication my whole entire life. I don't want to be on like, depression or anxiety meds forever.
Hmm.
And so it just, I was super surprised. I was really shocked. I was,
Yeah, and you brought up a good point. It's like if you don't know, you don't know.
and you don't think about it.
And you
Yes.
would not think about it if you had no
No.
idea. And so, and
Hmm.
I think that so many people like just literally don't know about this. And so can you, when you were having episodes of depression and anxiety, can you kind of think back to how you felt and just sort of talk about how that looked for you, how that felt, how that affected your life? Because I think it's I think it can vary from person to person, but I think that it's like
Absolutely.
we all have this to a certain extent, and it comes out
Mhm.
in different ways. So what did it look like for you?
Yeah. So for me personally, the depression was very much me getting like in my head and just like sitting and like thinking for hours about um like where I am in life at this age, how I'm like not married and I don't have kids, how I don't have like a solid career going, how I see all of my friends around me with all of these things, like wonderful things happening in their life, and I was just like there. So I just felt like stuck. And the more I thought about it, the more I like drove myself crazy and the less motivated I felt to like make the changes because I was just so overwhelmed with everything. And it was like I couldn't get out of my head how to, I guess, like compartmentalize everything. So I felt like I needed to like attack every goal and everything all at one time. And it was like so overwhelming for me that like
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, it was I couldn't like grasp the concept of like, okay, do one thing, and then like once you accomplish that one thing, you're gonna feel so great. It's gonna motivate you to accomplish the next thing. Like I never
Mhm.
like was able to do that, and even though I knew that I should, I couldn't because I just got so tired, really, really tired, like emotionally and physically, just absolutely exhausted.
Mhm.
I became really reclusive. I didn't really want to like see my family or friends. When I did see them, I felt like I was just being annoying because I wasn't like my normal happy bubbly self. I just felt
Mhm.
like they were just like, ugh, like why are you in this mood or whatever, right? And I couldn't explain it to them because then they would just be like, they didn't understand. They just be, well, then make the changes. Like this is all under your control, and they didn't really get it. So that
Mhm.
was the depression side of it. The anxiety side of it was I would literally like have dreams and nightmares about this stuff, and then I would. Sorry, can you see me properly? That's
Yeah.
better. Um, and then I would just like wake up with like cold sweats and just like my
Mm.
stomach was hurting, like killing me, and I'd be like, I'm gonna throw up. Like, girl, I missed so much work because of that. Like so
Mm.
many times. Like 1 year, I think I missed like over 30 days of work. but I don't know how, I don't know why they kept me on.
Mm.
So, yeah, excuse me. I just, it was hard and it went on for like several years. And I felt like I was like just stuck in a rut of constant like depression, constantly feeling like shit about myself, constantly feeling like I wasn't good enough, like I
Mm.
was like a loser, like had no value.
Mm.
I felt like I felt like I was nothing really.
Mm.
And
That's
I was like,
intense.
and I was the only person who saw me that way. Everyone else was like, "What are you talking about? You're amazing. You're funny. You're talented. You're this. You're that." And I'm just like, "I'm nothing. I'm nothing."
You just
So
didn't like you felt empty almost,
it
it
felt
sounds like.
empty, and I felt
Mm.
useless, and I felt like
Mm.
really just lost, like no purpose, no energy to do anything.
It
You know,
sounds really intense and really
it was.
heavy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I think that such a it's like the more yeah, it's like this self-perpetuating thing too, because the more down you are, the less you wanna do and less you wanna do, the more down you get, and so it
yeah. It's
just
a
kind of
circle.
feeds it, right?
It's definitely like a spiral for sure.
So
It's
can you talk a little bit now about, like, your mental health and how you're feeling since this change took place, like, on a day-to-day basis and how things are different for you now?
Yeah, I definitely have moments. I think that's normal. I think we all, have it's just normal to have stresses and
Yeah.
I still have moments, but I think that it's more normalized now. I don't think it's nearly as bad. I don't lie in bed for 3 days at a time with anxiety and like shaking and sweating, and I don't use alcohol as a crutch for anything, which I did for a while.
Mm.
I feel like I have a lot of energy. I sleep so well. I wake up energized. But normally, especially now in the summer when it's nice outside, if I just sit there for like an hour doing nothing, I feel like, what am I doing? Go outside. I
Mm.
take my dog for like a 3 hour walk. I do this, I do that. Like right now, I'm laid off from work. So I've got all the time in the world. And,
Mm.
a lot of people are struggling. So I almost feel like guilty for saying that. I kind of feel like I'm like thriving a little bit
Mm.
because I feel like I have time for myself.
Yeah.
I focus more now on the nutritional aspect of my life, and like that's my addiction. That's my obsession. That's
Mm.
the thing that I focus on because I feel so great. And now that I discovered you guys and I got the subscription, like the food is so good. It's unreal. And like, I swear to God, how is this good for me? How is this good for me? Like I almost feel like guilty in the back of my mind. I'm like, I'm gonna get so fat. And then I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah, it has to taste good, right? I mean, that's, like, such a wonderful thing to get, pleasure from your food, like,
Yeah.
I don't think that we need to deprive ourselves of that aspect of
No.
eating because, like, eating is fantastic. I love to eat.
Exactly. My sister's like, "Oh, all you eat is rabbit food." I'm like, "Girl, you have no idea what I'm eating." You have no
Yes.
idea.
Yes.
Especially now,
No.
because 'cause I've been a member only for, like, 2 months or something maybe,
Yeah.
like, I'm a pretty new member, so I'm just like, "Where have you been all my life?"
Yay! Yeah, well, I'm glad that you found us, and,
Mhm.
so it's yeah, it's just such an amazing thing to know that we have so much control over our life and the choices
Mhm.
that we make and
Yeah.
how we feel, because I all of those things that you were feeling before you made this change, I mean, those were very real and you were experiencing them, and those are really hard, heavy emotions to deal with. And now you're seeing kind of like the flip side of that, of giving yourself the best chance
Right.
to be healthy in your mind
Yeah,
and in your
yeah,
body and like
exactly.
all of it. And so
Mhm.
it's pretty amazing that how much power we have,
Yeah.
and I think that it is really empowering, and I think that's like the best word for it is when you make changes like this, you empower yourself. And it also is self perpetuating and feeds itself, but in like a really good positive way, instead of
Mhm.
like being in bed and taking a week to put away the clothes, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
so it's like a domino effect of like energy and going outside and walking your dog and
yeah.
doing that. So it's like it's almost like the exact it's just like flipped. It's the other side of the coin. It's like, can you
Never.
imagine going back to how you ate before?
No, no,
No.
because there have been like times when, like I'll go to my parents' house, we have family Sunday dinners, and they'll have like some Polish comfort food because I'm Polish. and I'll just be like, ah. So like take a little bite, and
Yeah.
then I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna be in the toilet for 3 hours after this. I just know it. It's not worth it. So no, it's not worth it. It's definitely not worth it. And I don't
So
want to go back to that. Like, who
yeah.
would?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy talk.
I mean, and I
Crazy.
think that that's one thing that makes this way of eating and this lifestyle so sustainable is because you just feel so good that you're like, huh, why would I want to go back? Like, that's crazy because you don't
Crazy
feel,
talk.
because it's not a diet. You don't feel like deprived. You just feel good. So what does your family think about your change?
um, at first, I thought it was a phase. As time went on, they started realizing that it's not.
Mm.
We'd have Sunday family dinners, like I said. We do every Sunday or every other Sunday, and she would, she'd always call me and she'd be like, Anya, my name was Polish, Anya, what do you want to eat for dinner this Sunday? And I was like, Mom, honestly, just serve whatever you're gonna serve. It's fine. I can make myself a plate. And she started getting like super stressed out about it. So I just go and I bring my own food. And
Mhm.
then the whole time everyone's looking and they're like, what are you eating today? I'm like, wouldn't you like to know? You make fun of me all the time. So I'm not going to tell you what this taco has in it. I'm just used to it, but I'm like, it's been 5.5 years now. Like, how long is it going to be before you idiots like stop being jerks to me? They're pretty respectful, but not always. They think it's
Well, it sounds like they have a good sense of humor,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
important.
It's not. They're. I definitely am lucky in the sense that they're not like trying to like force feed me or being like you're crazy or whatever. They let me
Yeah.
do my own thing, and then they just make fun of me for their own entertainment, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Well,
I
it
know
sounds
a
like
lot of.
you can like give it back to them too. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They get it.
very cool. So how was the before you started eating like this, did you do a lot of your own cooking?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how was the transition to this way of cooking? Was it overwhelming for you? Have you been learning a lot from using the recipes or like how did
Um.
that look?
So I've actually been plant based for a long time before I like found you guys. It when I was cooking before, I actually really love cooking a lot. I've been cooking my whole entire life. My mom is a really great cook, so I've always like really looked at her as an inspiration, and she's taught me a lot growing up. When it comes to clean food, dirty girl specifically, um, it was a bit intimidating at first. I'm not gonna lie. But mostly, but well, okay. So the first, I had a gift given to me by like a member of the community. They gave me like the 1 month gift or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, which I was really grateful for. And I I got like the meal plans with all the batching and whatever. And because I'm like single, I don't have really a lot of people to cook for. Batching for me is kind of like is a lot. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my God, girl, I was so impressed by like all the details in the batching of how you do this, and it at the end all kind of works together. I was like,
It's like
you
a
guys put a lot of
puzzle.
work. Yeah, you guys put a lot of work in that.
Oh yeah, the
God.
process is pretty insane. Yeah, yeah, I know. We do. We're not the most simple of recipes, that's for sure. Um,
But it's so worth it. It's so worth it. Oh
it's
my
so
God.
yummy. I can't imagine. Like I couldn't. Luann and I were talking about that the other day. My wife and she comes from Malaysia, and Malaysian food is like so good,
Yeah.
so good because there's like like the Indian influence and the Chinese influence and the local like Malay influence, and they were right in the like spice trade route,
Oh, that's perfect.
and so tons of spices are grown there. So the food there is just off the hook. And she's like, like once you have spices in your life and once you taste really flavorful food, you cannot go back to boring like potatoes and cabbage and
No.
like you just can't. It's just sad.
I never really ate that way to begin with. We've always done like a lot of stuff and I travel a lot. I've been to like over
Mm,
30 countries. So when I come back, I'm always like trying to
yeah,
recreate things. Like I was in Morocco, I got a tagine. I like always trying to
nice.
do things and like now especially being plant-based, I really love to recreate the things that I've eaten in my travels and like make it
It's fun,
healthy.
right?
It's
It's
so fun.
it's
Yeah, it's
fun.
great.
At any point, like when you were starting to, really suffer from depression and anxiety, and when this first started happening, were you considering going on medication?
Um, I definitely talked to my doctor about it.
Mhm.
I did actually get a prescription for an anxiety medication, but I was only using it on like a need by need basis
Okay.
because I get like a bad anxiety attack maybe like once a month, once every 2 months. And if I took like just like a half of one of those pills, I would be fine by noon, and then I could go about the rest of my day, and I would be completely fine for like the rest of like the time. Like it would just take me a few hours. It would make me kind of drowsy. I'd sleep it off. I'd wake up, and then I felt fine to even go to work that same day. I would just need like several hours
Mm.
to kind of come together, but it wouldn't be something that was like a drawn out process of several like days where I was like shaking and whatever. And so I was like, I don't want, he prescribed me something else that he was like, it's going to take 6 weeks to work. I was like, no, I just want this, like, this one specific medication because I just take a little bit and then I'm fine. And I take it whenever I need it. And
Mhm.
I would only take it for like emergency purposes. Like, I got prescribed, I think, 15 pills the first time, and it took me a year and a half to go through them.
But
Yeah.
so since you've made this switch, you haven't had have you had any anxiety attacks, or are they just much less frequently?
I haven't had anxiety attacks. I've had anxiety, but I think
Mhm.
that it's on a normal, like, level of people who don't usually get them. Like, you know, just like something bad happens and you're just like
Like a
overwhelmed.
pandemic, for example.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Like that.
The normal
Or,
stuff.
yeah, the normal stuff. Like my grandmother passed away at 99 back last
Mm.
September, and I was just very overwhelmed by that. But it wasn't like this. It wasn't like
Yeah.
the shaking, lying in bed, throwing up, like
Mhm, mhm. It was
stomach
like
feeling.
a normal human response to death.
Exactly.
Really, yeah.
Exactly. Like
Well,
anyone would feel that way in the
yeah,
best of health, in the best of health.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think, you really, like, listen to your gut about getting on that long-term medication, and I think you're right. You kind of touched on this before. There are people who definitely need medication, but I think the issue is that depression, antidepressants are handed out so frequently, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, if you go to your doctor and just say, like, I'm just having a bad day and I'm just feeling kind of down, it's like, okay, let's write a prescription. It's like,
That's
but
like their solution for everything
but it's like,
without
well,
looking
what?
deeper.
Yeah, and like, it's okay to have a bad day. Like,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
human. We get to have those.
Yeah.
It's weird to be human, right? And we have these
Mhm.
weird feelings, and we go through this
And
shit, and it's
nobody
just,
yeah, nobody knows what you're doing anyways. We're all here on this planet like kinda like, they're like, "What's going on?"
there's no
So,
manual. Like,
yeah, there's
we don't
exactly,
we're just
exactly.
trying not to die.
Trying to do
I
our
don't know.
best. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think
Yeah.
hearing these things, and just, just so that people know that, like, we all go through it, and we all have this stuff, and we're all human, and hey, this is something that worked for you. It might not work for everybody, but damn, it's
Exactly.
worth a shot. Because I always feel like, what are you going to lose? Like, okay, let's say you're struggling with some depression and some anxiety, and it's like, okay, let's join the meal plans, for example, or any meal plans, or just, switch your diet to a whole food plant-based diet and see what happens. It's like, literally, like, the only good is going to come from it. So even if it doesn't, like, cure you of your, depression and anxiety,
Mhm.
you're going to, your cholesterol will come down a little bit. You'll be feeling good.
Yeah. There are no negatives.
There's no negatives. And so it's like, you
Yeah.
may as well, um, try it. It's not like a medication that has side effects.
This is another thing I didn't tell you. It's coming up on 4 years now, September, 19th. I got hit by a pickup truck crossing the street in front of my house. I've got a metal plate in my arm. I had 7 broken ribs,
Whoa.
shattered collarbone, broken sternum, broken wrist, broken brow bone, collapsed lung.
Oh my gosh, you
Yeah,
were beat up.
I was bad. I was bad. So I didn't go to work for a year and a half. And during that
Mm.
time, I just fell into like even bigger of a depression than I was in
Yeah.
like the first time around. And I was also in a really abusive relationship with my ex-boyfriend who was like
Mm.
mentally abusive to me. And
Yeah.
so I was dealing with his shit, being a stepmom to his 2 kids, having my accident, not able to work,
Mm.
being in constant pain, and just like all of the shit was going like it was just spiraling all out of control. I like couldn't go to work, so I was home all day by myself. I had to wait for someone to get to my house to bathe me I couldn't walk my dog. I couldn't make food for myself. I couldn't do anything. Like I
Mm,
literally was useless and like I wasn't self-sufficient. I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't bathe
mm,
myself. I could barely go to the washroom by myself. I, was really reliant on people and I'm usually an independent person. So I kind of
mm,
lost everything. I lost all of myself. And then to not even be in a caring relationship and then to feel trapped, like I couldn't even tell my family or anyone that I needed to get out of the situation because he was paying for all my bills and stuff while I wasn't working. So then I felt even
mm,
more trapped because I'm like, I can't work. And, I was only getting from the insurance company, I was only getting like $400 a week or something. So I felt trapped. I felt like I had nowhere to go. I felt like I had no one to talk to. So I started drinking again.
mm,
And then I was drinking like every single day, like every day. I would be home alone and couldn't put food in the microwave, but I sure could open that bottle of wine and drink the whole damn thing by myself.
mhm,
So of course that wasn't helping my mental state at all. And then I would be like half in the bag by the time my ex came home. And so he didn't want to see me that way either. So that would trigger him to be mad at me. And it was just like this crazy thing. So finally, when I had the balls to like kick him out, but so
mm,
that was probably like the lowest part of my life. And that's when I started
mm,
like really relying on like alcohol to get me through things. And then one day I just woke up and I was like, what are you doing? Like, you're gonna kill yourself for what? For this idiot? You
mhm,
already survived being hit by a pickup truck. Like,
mm,
you're a
mhm.
survivor. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I was like, this is ridiculous. So I quit that day. I still will have some here and there, but like I'll never ever go back to that place ever again. I started to focus, like regain my focus on eating well, like really focusing on like really being like excited about the recipes that I was making, and like the day
Yeah,
would go by and I'd be like, oh my god, okay, I'm gonna like plan out this meal, and I started just
yeah,
really kind of like getting excited about like being healthy, and then being like, or if I did have a craving for alcohol, be like, why? So you feel like shit for 3 days? Why don't you just
mhm,
make yourself something amazing to eat, be rejuvenated and refreshed, and go for a walk with your dog or do something.
yeah,
Go to the gym, read a
yeah,
book, do something. Like, why? So I just really
yeah.
started to focus on that, and it really saved me. Like, really.
Yeah, isn't that amazing how and it just like it gives me chills because it's like this is about food, but it's about so much more than food. Like it is
So much
about
more.
taking
Yes.
care of yourself.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that's what it's about. And it's so funny because you like I can tell that you know that feeling of like talking to yourself. And like, that conversation that you have with yourself around
Yeah.
alcohol is so crazy. Like it does, it feels fucking crazy, but um way to damn, you were in a really, really, really low spot and that was brutal. But look at you. I mean, you came out the other side of that like so much stronger and you've
I'm so
learned
proud
so
of
much.
myself. I got hit by a pickup truck. I survived. I'm like I don't know, no longer have like an alcohol dependency. I like love myself for the first time in God knows how long. I just got into a relationship with somebody and I was like, talking to him in the beginning. It's only been like a month, but I talked to him like from day one. I was like, this is what I want. This is what I don't want. I've never been like that with anyone. It might seem like I'm a little bit damaged by what I'm saying. I'm not. I'm like, you're getting the best version of myself because
That's
I
it.
actually know who I am. I know
Yes.
who I am. And this is like the best gift I can give you is to be
Yeah.
the best version of myself and not codependent and not
Mhm.
depending on alcohol and not depressed and don't have anxiety. Like I'm happy. And I
Yeah.
haven't
And
felt that in so many years, and it's, like, so refreshing. It's so
yes.
nice. It's so
Yes.
nice.
And no hangovers. Like how amazing is it to wake up without a hangover? That never gets old. It never gets old.
Never. Oh my god. The amount of, hangovers and I would get them with anxiety too, which
Mhm.
already I'm dealing with on its own. So, or waking up feeling like you just ate, like, a bag of rocks and you're like,
Yeah.
"Ooh."
So and it's like it's so interesting how doing all that other stuff, drinking and meat and dairy and processed food, it totally
It clouds
masks.
you. It
It clouds you.
clouds
Yeah,
you.
you can't get in touch with yourself. And I just
Yeah.
yeah, so it's no wonder that you feel so much better.
like a
you
different
know?
person, like a
Yeah.
different person.
Yeah. I mean, that's honestly how I feel as well. So it sounds like we have a lot in common.
Hmm.
And I'm so stoked for you that you were able to find this path and to get on it and do this, because your whole life now from the rest of your life will be changed.
Be so much better. I had no hope. I honestly, girl, I mean, the amount of times I was going to work and the subway was coming, I'd be like, it just takes one step. I never would have actually
Mm,
done it, but you always get, like, you get those thoughts, and especially if you're
mhm.
drinking a lot, and it's just like it just takes one step, and all of this can be over. And it's like, who knew that just doing this would change my whole entire life for the better? And I like honestly have no complaints.
So awesome. Well, this has been great to like chat with you and to
Yeah,
hear your story. And thank you so much for, again, just thank you for doing this and for being vulnerable and for opening up. And I really appreciate it. And it's going to help someone out there.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything you do. And like, girl, you're literally saving lives. Like, I can see it. All these people who are just like, oh my god, and especially when it comes to people who I guess are like intimidated by switching their diet and whatever, and then they see that it's not just rabbit food. It's not just like you can have these amazing, delicious meals. You're making really big moves, and I'm really proud of you. You're doing great.
Oh,
And I'm proud to be a part of the community.
awesome. Well, thank you for that. It means a lot.
Yeah.
And thanks for being part of the community. Yeah. Awesome. Well, continue. I just wish you continued success. And I know that you will. I know that you're like not going back and that you're like right there. That's how I feel too. So we're on that path together.
Thanks, girl. I appreciate you.
All right. Have a good one.
Have fun in Hawaii. I'm
Thanks.
jealous.
Bye.
Bye.